I hear the screams. I have lived through the massacre every day.
And that was Viola Fletcher, who at 106 years old testified in Congress this month about the massacre that happened 100 years ago today. Welcome to our In Focus discussion tonight on Black business communities after Tulsa. June is a significant month in African American and Black communities. Later this month, we have Juneteenth on the 19th, a holiday that celebrates the emancipation of slaves. But today, June 1st, marks the second day of a massacre of Black people in a thriving business district in Tulsa, Oklahoma, 100 years ago. And with this in mind, we wanted to talk about Black businesses, starting off with the impact that came after this horrendous tragedy. Joining us first is Al Kalashnikov, historian and president of the Pyramid Company. Al, thank you so much for being here tonight. It's great to have you.
Thank you. Good to be here on this somber occasion.
Now, Al, today is the 100-year anniversary of the Greenwood neighborhood massacre in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Tell us about this community before this tragedy happened. What was it like?
Well, it was a thriving, bustling community, Rosie. It was one that was filled with a lot of Black businesses, up to 600 businesses I have researched. One that composed of not only something that is reflected in communities today like barbershops and things of that nature and churches, but it comprised of movie theaters, things like what you wouldn't normally expect that you'd find, livery shops, things of repair for automobiles, because automobiles were quite rare, but you would find, the wealthy driving in automobiles. The automobile was quite a luxury during those times. So you would find automobile shops, movie theaters, barber shops, things of that nature. It was bustling, and quite a few of the white residents were jealous of the prosperity that was enjoyed by a lot of the people who had just come from the war effort with the World War I. So it was quite well positioned. And it had agreement from some of the tribes, because as you know, a lot of your viewers may not know that part of Oklahoma was just freed from, had just become part of statehood, just newly had become part of statehood just a few years before. And the tribes of the Seminole and some of the other tribes had participated in granting land to the newly freed Black freedmen.
Wow. Just to hear what it was like before and then to hear what happened afterwards is just devastating. So
Yes.
Let's talk about the massacre. What
Yes.
was the event that led up to this incident, and what were some of the casualties or outcomes that we saw?
Well, there was a very simple incident that what led up to it, along with hearsay, along with what the white community had inflamed a situation that it was a young man who had been an elevator operator in the downtown area. Now, the Greenwood district was segregated. It was segregated. Part of the Jim Crow laws was quite active during those times with Plessy versus Ferguson, which was the start of the Jim Crow laws. That was the court case that gave into, that began the Jim Crow laws in all of the South. And as you know, all of your viewers may be aware that Oklahoma was a segregated southern state. And so part of the success of the Greenwood district was that it was a southern state. And so the gentleman who was on the elevator was the elevator operator in the downtown area, which is adjacent to the Greenwood district. And so all of that kind of came together when he was accused of assaulting one of his white patrons who rode the elevator, and that was inflamed when he was accused. And for his protection, he was sent to jail, and a white mob grew, and they demanded he be hung for this. And so a group of Black business people came together, and then they sought to try to protect him. And so it was a confrontation, and that confrontation led to the 2-day siege of the Greenwood district that was popularly known as not only Little Africa, but it was popularly known as Black Wall Street back during those times.
Wow. Al, we have about a minute left, and I really want to hear your thoughts. I want to know, here we are 100 years later. How are you reflecting? What's going through your mind on this dark anniversary that we're remembering today? And can you tell us why is it important for us to recognize and support Black-owned businesses even to this day? Or maybe what would you like to leave our viewers with tonight?
Well, I'm wearing a black, I don't know if your camera can shine on it, but I'm wearing a black pin, a black ribbon to commemorate this somber anniversary 100 years down the road. And so I am reflecting that on this, and I would like the Black businesses to know that we do have a place in society, and the Black Pyramid, the Pyramid Company is in alignment with that being the case for Black businesses. We are a new nonprofit that we've just started, and so I want to say that we're having a gala just to show that we are coming to the forefront of starting something that will give tribute to Black businesses in Utah. And so we would hope that we would be a reflection of all the Black businesses and trying to come together to let people know that we are here, we are Black businesses in Utah, and we would like to be an accurate reflection of services that we would like to have.
And thank you for those encouraging words, and we're going to hear a little bit more about your efforts with the Pyramid Company. But for now, you've been hearing from Al Kalashnikov. He is a historian and president of the Pyramid Company. Al, thank you so much for helping educate us tonight on these important historical events. We appreciate your time.
You're very welcome. Good to be here.
We'll be right back.
Put your money where your mouth is. We really love the fact that you're out there with us. But us as Black business owners, we need every support that we can get.
That was Rudy Salvatore, owner of Micaiah Catering, back in June of 2020, talking about how Black businesses need support to open the door for a continued conversation about racial justice. Thanks for staying with us for our second In Focus discussion tonight on Black businesses, communities after Tulsa. Up next in our conversation is Paul Hill. He is the owner of Sip and Vibe in Salt Lake City. And Paul, thank you for being here and welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Now, Paul, we'd like to learn more about your business. What can you tell us about it?
So we're a private bartending and live entertainment company. We specialize in creating specialty cocktails for brides and grooms for their weddings, but also putting together entertainment packages for weddings and corporate events as well. So that's our biggest thing, is helping entertainers and bartenders get back out working. After pandemic, they were the ones I feel like were hurt the most. So I'm trying to help them get back doing what they love.
I was just about to ask you, how exciting is it that we're finally seeing, right, the light at the end of the tunnel, right, and then we're going back to normal, especially for a business that thrives on the entertainment industry. I'm so glad to hear that you guys are going to be, back in full swing. Now, in your opinion, why is it important for Black-owned businesses to work together?
I think the biggest thing is community. As you know, it takes a village. So we can have a network of Black business owners. We can show the next generation how to be entrepreneurs. A lot of times in school, we're not educated on how to become our own bosses. We're educated on how to work for someone else. And I feel like if we have a strong network of Black entrepreneurs, we can show the next generation that you don't have to work for someone else. You can eventually work for yourself.
I absolutely love that. Now, we want to clarify that you are not trying to exclude other people, right, but achieve a goal with a network of Black-owned businesses. Tell us about that objective. You did mention a little bit about it in that last answer. What else can you tell us about it?
So the biggest thing is network in bringing everyone together. So we're not trying to exclude anyone. If you're an entrepreneur and you feel like you have an essential business that could work with our network, we'd love to partner with you. And if you're just an entrepreneur and need some help or some advice, we'd love to be able to help you out and grow as well. Being an African-American entrepreneur puts me in a segment, but being an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur first. So I always want to help other business owners move forward with their dreams and help them become successful as well. So we're never going to exclude everyone. We always want to include everyone and help grow Salt Lake City's network.
Well said. Now we'll get more into the Pyramid Company in the next segment, but tell us why you are supporting and participating in it, maybe your role in it. Why is it important to you?
I love the Pyramid Company and the ideas and what they stand for. They want to be a multinational network for Black creatives, and this gives me a way to directly affect and directly make change. I was taught if you want change, you have to be a part of it. You can never wait for change. So this is my opportunity to really step up and be a factor and work with the organization that's really on the front line for the next generation of African American youth.
Now, Paul, I'm curious, as an entrepreneur yourself, as someone who knows other Black entrepreneurs, what are some of the challenges, barriers, difficulties that may be unique, right, to Black-owned businesses as well as Black business owners?
I say one of the biggest challenges will be education and funding. A lot of times entrepreneurs have a great idea but don't know how to acquire the resources to get their idea off the ground. So I feel like it's essential to start working with local banks to get the ideas and different funding options out to entrepreneurs so they'll know how to acquire the resources to get their idea off the ground.
Now, I want you to reflect on today. I did ask Al about this earlier in the last segment, but today is the 100-year anniversary of the massacre on Black Wall Street in Tulsa. What goes through your head when you're thinking about today? What are you reflecting about? And how does it fit into what you and the Pyramid Company are doing now?
When I think about the massacre, I think about how so many people came together for such a good idea and how a little bit of hate can destroy such a good idea and vision. So that's what we want to do now, is kind of get the same idea of Black Wall Street, where we focus on an underutilized and underappreciated community and bring them together and give them the resources so that way they can even the playing field. So I believe with the TPC and with what we're doing now with my private bartending service, we can focus on underutilized and underprivileged communities to give them what they need to kind of get back on track and have a fair chance.
I love that. Now, Paul, we may be talking about a conversation and a discussion that not a lot of people have thought about up until now. What's some final words or something you'd like to leave our viewers with as they're listening to our conversation tonight?
My biggest thing is it starts at home, and it's about education. If you could just educate your family about our history and our past, that would give us a stronger future. And until we could grapple with what our history, what we've been through as a country and as a culture, we'll never be able to move forward together. So I say start with the kids, start with your family members, and have those tough conversations.
Right, support local, and there's directories, there's lists out there of Black-owned businesses.
Always
that
support
you can
local
find.
Black-owned businesses.
Right?
If you need help finding them, reach out to myself, reach out to Jakari. We have the African American Chamber of Commerce. There are a lot of resources out there, and this summer we can be more proactive, letting the community know what we have available, and then we'll kind of get the word out there more often and hopefully work with you guys in the future.
Right, that dime, every single dime will go a long way. All right, you've been hearing from Paul Hill, owner of Sip and Vibe in Salt Lake City. And Paul, thank you so much for joining us and being here tonight.
No problem. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
And don't go anywhere. We'll hear from the founder of the Pyramid Company next after the break.
The black dollar only doesn't circulate very far because we don't own businesses, but there's more and more people starting businesses.
That was Jakari Kelly back in December talking about Blackout Friday, an effort to support Black-owned businesses. Welcome to our third and final In Focus discussion tonight on Black business communities after Tulsa. Rounding our conversation tonight is the person you heard from at the top of this segment, Jakari Kelly. She is the organizer of the Northern Utah Black Lives Matter chapter and executive director of a new company aimed at bringing together the Black community. Jakari, great to see you again and welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Now, Jakari, let's start with the Pyramid Company. We've been talking about it with our last two guests, Al and Paul. Tell us about it and what you were trying to accomplish.
So the Pyramid Company is a multimedia network that helps navigate the Black experience. We're starting it here in Utah, and we're gonna unleash it all over the United States and hopefully worldwide.
So where did the idea come from?
So I come from a tight-knit Black family where my grandfather's club, which was an American Legion, was that pivotal point in the Black community where everybody knew it was a safe space. They can go and find out all the information they needed to know, from how to apply for home loans to what's the next job. So that's how I was raised, and that's what I want to continue on for my community and my children.
I love that. It's kind of a family affair. You saw what your grandfather did, it worked, it succeeded, and now you're continuing that legacy.
Yes.
So, Jakari, why is it important to have a company that elevates the Black experience?
Because we are re-educating ourselves now in America, especially after 2020. We learned so much information that we actually have to relearn our history, and that starts within the Black community and spreads out. It's not just about everybody learning it. There's specific things that Black people were kept away from, as you see what happened in Tulsa and many other cities like that all around the country. We really need to just get back to our roots and being able to develop ourselves as a community.
Now, one word that really stuck with me when I was interviewing Paul was the word networking.
Yes.
Partnership, right? What groups are you working with, and does it include the Black Chamber of Commerce?
Yes, we are in talks with the Black Chamber of Commerce, but every organization has to get an actual vote. And this was not really last minute, but kinda. So they are gonna get back to us. We're also working with the Natural History Museum of Utah, who has an Egyptian exhibit here that I think it's the first time it's been in the United States. So that's something that no one has seen in the United States that we have the chance to get to see here. I went and seen it and it was beautiful. And I also have a partnership with, of course, ABC4. They give us a platform to let us experience life the other way around and take our narrative back.
That's awesome, and we're glad that we can be part of these efforts. Now, we asked the other two guests this question, but we'd like to hear from you as well, because everyone is reflecting differently, they're thinking differently. How are you thinking about today, the 100-year anniversary of the massacre in Tulsa, and how does it apply to what you're doing now?
It really touches home because my grandparents are from the Deep South, where they had to deal with deep racism and hatred and abuse and everything else, where they had to run away from where they were from just because of the color of their skin. And it makes me think that it's not fair that that happened to them, but now in 2021, we know what the right thing to do is, and so we're gonna keep it moving, and we're gonna take our ancestors and put them on the platform they deserve by bringing forth Black excellence.
So with all these conversations we've had on the show regarding civil rights and racial justice, we always talk about, you know, looking back on history, we've made a lot of progress, but there's still a lot more work to be done. What's your opinion on that thought process? Do you agree, disagree? Do you kind of have your own variation of it?
We have came a long way. It was slowly but surely, but with 2021, we can fast track it now. So I always look at the good side of things. I'm a problem solver, and that's what I like to do.
We have to stay optimistic, right?
Right.
Now, Juneteenth is coming up.
Yes.
It's what, less than 3 weeks away. So tell us about the holiday for those who may not know, and what you are doing with the Pyramid Company for the event.
So Juneteenth is a holiday that celebrates the Emancipation Proclamation of slaves. It happened 2 years prior to the actual Juneteenth holiday, which was 1865, and that's where we celebrate it, because the 2 years after the emancipation, slaves were still not free, but the last slaves were freed in Galveston, Texas on that date. So we like to celebrate, we like to rejoice, we like to just have a good time. So I'm throwing a gala here in Utah. It's the first ever Juneteenth Gala, and I can't wait for everybody to be able to come out and see.
Can you share any details? Can you tease like when it might be, where it might be, who's involved, what the entertainment might look like?
We do have gifted entertainers, from spoken word artists, painters, singers, rappers. Anybody that has a gift that is Black, I would love to highlight them. They can always find me on Facebook. My name is Jakari Kelly on there. I keep it simple. And I just love to do stuff like that. So the details, let's just say it's gonna look a little something like a couple movies that came out recently.
Oh wow, okay, that's pretty exciting.
Yes.
And Jakari, why is it important for us to have something like your Juneteenth Gala, this visibility, right, of our local Black entertainers, local Black business owners in a state like Utah?
Because representation matters. And I also run another group called Black Folks Utah, and I'm getting requests every day from new people moving to the state of Utah, and I want them to feel welcome and have a place where they can vent or ask questions without being shot down.
All right, you've been hearing from Jakari Kelly. She is the organizer of Northern Utah Black Lives Matter, the chapter, and executive director of the Pyramid Company. Yes. And Jakari, thank you so much for being here tonight. It was great to have you back.
Yes, thank you.